Okay, I just found a letter that my mother had written right after I married Tony, March 10th, 1973. So this letter is 47 years old, and it was really fun to read what she thought of our wedding, and I just want to share that right now. So March 10th, 1973. Dear Mama, well, we made it. Oh, this is a letter to her mother. I don't know if I said that. Well, we made it. The wedding came off beautifully. No hitches or unusual happenings. After much preparation, we were ready for the arrival of Tony and later his folks. Karen was a jewel to do everything herself, ordering, making her own gown, 2 bridesmaids' dresses for her sisters, besides house cleaning a few of the rooms. Tony arrived by car from Connecticut on Wednesday morning. We had one evening to visit and get to know him. We really like him and proud to have him as a new son. Thursday evening, they went to Idaho Falls to meet the family flying in. Mrs. Eaton had called and written to Karen of the many changes in their plans. It's a big family. The Saturday before, the grandfather had died. Mr. Eaton has a heart condition and doubted for a while whether he could come. So that was Tony's grandfather on his father's side, and Tony's dad, who had a heart condition, was being very wobbly about whether he could come or not, and because his own father had just passed away, the doctor said, no, you can't go. So that's why Dad Eaton did not come. But that settled it, and he didn't come. One boy was given emergency leave from the Navy so he could come to the wedding, and that was Pete. Karen had been told by Tony and Mrs. Eaton that the boys were quote-unquote different for Ashton, long hair, etc. One even brought a girlfriend. So they rented 3 bedrooms at a local motel, also rented a car in Idaho Falls. We were prepared to a certain extent. It wasn't the hair, but the size of the fellows. Those in high school, 2 of them, that would have been Pat and Jack, were unbelievable in size. When we pushed the hair back, we found they looked young. Mrs. Eaton was a jolly, motherly person, a bit of Irish, and a wonderful house guest. A daughter, 12, that would have been Barb, and a niece, 5, that's Monica, Laura's daughter, also stayed here. As time went on, we grew to like them all, even the girlfriend, and that would have been Christine, Joe's girlfriend, who he later married. They all enjoyed the food. I just cooked 2 meals a day. Now this hair all fit into place when the boys put on those fancy tuxes they brought with them. They all looked like Beethoven, etc., that old-fashioned look. John Bainbridge fit in with them. You should see his mop of hair. Saturday, I didn't cook, just put on salads, meats, etc., while we picked up the odds and ends that had to be done. A local party does catering and decorating, so we hired them, and they decorated the church beautifully. And besides, we didn't have anything to do with the food. It was worth it. I took Friday and Monday off from school. We had such sloppy snow all over, with mud and puddles. And Karen dropped the veil in a puddle when Ben took her over to the church real early. They dressed there. So he came back with the dripping thing. I washed, dried it, and ironed it in a little bit of time. Everything went very nicely. The ceremony was held in the Cozy Relief Society room, and reception was in the big cultural hall. Many guests came. The gifts were left unopened, and Sunday, Karen and Tony came back from their one-night honeymoon in Rexburg. Both families here all watched them open them. Then on Monday, all of them took off. We all had colds afterwards, so enjoyed the day off. I washed sheets and towels like anything. A nice happening was that Chris was able to come with John and Cheryl. Now, this is Chris Shattuck, our cousin from Vermont, who was going to school up in Moscow, Idaho. And John and Cheryl were living up in Spokane, Washington at the time, so they just picked her up and brought her. They got here 1 a.m. Saturday morning. I left Chris and Maureen enjoying their long-awaited visit and went to bed. Believe me, we were sleeping all over the place. Then they had to leave early Sunday afternoon, but we did get a chance to visit a little with her. She's a very pretty girl. I was so glad to have an immediate relative there. Jim and Nick were here also. Those are also cousins from the Grove side, Jim and Nick Davidson, our cousins. Karen and Tony were a handsome couple, and people here took to Tony very nicely. Both mothers, me and Mrs. Eaton, agreed that these two were choice people and would make a go of any situation. Nick joined the Army and left yesterday, Wednesday, so we visited with his dad and he the evening before. Incidentally, Nick will be stationed in Massachusetts, near Boston, in July after basic training at Fort Ord, California, so be prepared for an invasion of the Westerners to the east. He and Karen talked about visiting all of you people. Karen and Tony will be at New London, Connecticut for at least 2 years. Tony goes to school for a few months when they get back. Tony's family are Catholic. Tony has joined the LDS Church about a year ago before Karen said yes. Well, I'd better go. Have so much to do at school now. It's good to be back to normal again. Oh, yes, they all left Monday for California. Karen and Tony driving where they'll be feted there. And that was in Los Angeles at Tony's grandfather's house, the one that had just passed away. But Tony's dad, Larry, was living there, so we had a reception there. Then they will come back, load up, and go on to Connecticut. I believe next week sometime. Maureen was home with Becky all that time, too. She did hair all day Saturday. Love to all, Hilda. So that was really fun to read. Brought back a lot of good memories. I remember dropping the veil in the mud puddle and just freaking out. And Dad said, "Don't worry, it's early enough." And sure enough, he got it back in plenty of time. So I just glad to be able to share that.